Yeah, kinda. She puts up with us. And we have camped all over the great state of Michigan, but one camping trip in particular stands out. And that was our trip to Fisherman's Island State Park. Now, Fisherman's Island is located in the lower peninsula, northern part of the lower peninsula, and it sits on the shores of Lake Michigan. The thing I like about the campground is it has large campsites. You know, the kind of campsite where when the leaves are in foliage, you can't see the campers next to you? Yeah, those are the ones I really like. It's got some disadvantages, though, I will admit. There is no electricity, if you require that. There are no showers, which Colleen finds is a drawback. And there are pit toilets, which, you know, I mean, that's just the way it is when rustic camping. And if you don't know what a pit toilet is, it's like the outhouse at the farm. If you don't know what the outhouse at the farm is, for you younger folks in the audience, that is a hole in the ground with a shed over it that you go to the bathroom. Well, it takes about 4 hours to get from our house to Fisherman's Island, and I remember that drive distinctly because that was the drive on which the family helped me write The Adventures of Pull My Finger Bob. You know, we started, it's a story set in the Old West where disputes are settled not with guns, but by farting. And the kids all come up with the characters' names. There's Fart and Frank, and Rancid Roy, Poopin' Patty, Flatulent Francine. She's one of the evil dudes. My favorite character, though, is Sheriff Mark. Sheriff Skid Mark. All the bad farts. I can tell you, if you want to get kids to laugh, start talking about farts. It makes a 4-hour car ride seem like 15 minutes. We got to the campground about 4 in the afternoon, which is about the perfect time. It gave us time to set up our pop-up camper, cook dinner, go down to the beach and watch the sunset, start a fire, and tell some scary stories. Because by that time, I had learned to tell scary stories. And, of course, I told the story about the monster that lives in the pit toilet. You know, that just about the time you get comfortable on the toilet, We fixed some s'mores after that, and you know, if you've ever at camp, we fixed some pies, cherry pies and a pie iron, and had a wonderful time. But after that, nature called for me. And I have to tell you this, I hate pit toilets. I have a confession to make. I'm scared of pit toilets. I mean, scary storytellers get their material from things that scare them, and pit toilets scare the hell out of me. And so I get my 3D cell flashlight, backlight, policeman's issue, and I head off in the dark to the pit toilet. And I open the squeaky door, and I go in, and I check it out. I mean, I'm looking down in there, making sure nobody's living down there. And get settled in, I start to lean back. Oh! Something bit me! And I ran out of there, and I ran back to the campsite, and I went, oh! Something bit me! Something! Yeah, sure did. Right. Turns out there was a crack in that darn seat. I don't care what it was, whatever it was, it cured me for 3 days. I did not have to go again. The next day, we went to the beach at the campground, had a wonderful time, fixed dinner, and then we went into the town of Charlevoix to have some ice cream and to do a little shopping. And we had a really nice time there. We rolled back into the campground just after dark, and as we rolled into the campground, the ranger stuck her head in the window of the car and said, "We want you folks to be careful because we have spotted a bear in camp." And at which time Maureen in the back seat, 6 years old, went, "Ah!" And I gotta tell you, it took me 25 minutes to talk to Maureen and how a bear cannot get into a pop-up camper. How that Coleman canvas is specially treated so that bears cannot get through it. And Teflon screening is called Teflon because it's tough. And you will be fine. I'm fine. I didn't have to tell any scary story. Not one scary story. The next 2 days, we did all that pure Michigan had to offer. We went to Fort Michilimackinac and Mackinac City, and then the next day, we went down to Sleeping Bear Dunes and checked those out. We got back early, and Colleen and I were fixing dinner. And Colleen came over and whispered in my ear. She said, "I think the kids are tired. Why don't we put them to bed early and we can lay the sleeping bag out by the fire if you get my drift?" Oh, yeah! I mean, you have never seen a man move so fast. Fixed dinner, did the dishes. I told 2 stories, cooked s'mores, made pies. The kids were in bed. Then I got the 2 chairs out, set it by the fire, put the logs on, opened a bottle of wine. Very nice. About a half hour later, after we were sure those kids were asleep, we dragged the sleeping bag out of that camper, laid it next to the fire, and climbed in. I can still remember, you could feel the breeze coming off the lake. You could hear the waves crashing. The cool air on one side of your bare skin and the warm fire on the other. It takes me a minute. Things were heating up nicely. The fire was really cooking. And that's when we heard it. And I looked at Colleen, and she looked at me, and she said, "Did you hear what I heard?" I said, "Yeah, did I hear what I heard?" And we got up and we got in that camper. That was no raccoon growl. That was no possum growl. That was no coyote growl. That was a bear growl. I had never even heard a bear growl. And I know that 10 feet away from me, something making a guttural noise like that was trying to warn me that it was about to eat me. We got in the camper and we looked out that window for 25 minutes trying to figure out where that bear went. Never saw it again. For the men in the audience, I want you to know, I did try to rekindle the fire. Thinking about the day and the wonderful time we'd had, and eventually thinking about the bear and how I had told that little bitty white lie to Maureen about that canvas and how that bear was going to come back and eat my whole family, tear through that screen and that Teflon. There was no way. I got nervous laying there thinking about then nature called. And she was screaming. They say that if you bang a pot, that it'll keep bears away. So I reached under the kitchen sink and I got a pot and I got my bag flashlight. Bang, bang, bang. I wasn't even on the door yet. Bang, bang, bang. Threw open the door. Bang, 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 bang. I had owned my mag flashlight for 10 years at that time. I had dropped it from the second story of a 2-story house. And it still worked. But apparently, when you bang a pot with it, it goes out. So I kept banging and I ran like hell to get to the pit toilet. I threw open the door, all caution to the wind, and it all worked out. I got ready to go back outside again, and I got my flashlight in my pan. Bang, 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 bang. Threw open the door, bang, bang, bang. Ah! Woo! The ranger was standing there. It turns out they don't like it when you bang at 11:30 at night in the state park. He escorted me back to my campsite and he tucked me in bed. Told me it would be okay. My family still loves to camp. But I have to tell you, we have upgraded our camper. It's easy to tow because it's a Holiday Inn.